We open on a city in flames. Metropolis, meant to be America's shining city, is falling apart. It's strewn with rubble, death and chaos. Bruce Wayne, not Batman, emerges to answer the call. With no suit, no gadgets, no vehicles and no backup, against an unseen godly force of destruction, what does Bruce Wayne do? This right here is the best moment Ben Affleck's Batman, or Batfleck, ever got. Running into the dust when everyone else runs away. The only one that can do anything, not because he has the skills, but because he has the will. This was the day the world was first introduced to the Superman. On the 31st of January 2019, the world said goodbye to the Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman, and what a shame that is. After years of speculation and hype, just 2 movies, and 1 final year of speculation and not really hype, Ben Affleck's run as the Caped Crusader has come to a close. Even though it's been almost 6 years since his announcement, it feels like Ben Affleck never got a full shot at reaching his potential with the character. Just like that excellent scene in Metropolis and the movie that followed, the start of Batfleck was full of promise, excitement and goodwill, but it evolved into something else entirely. In memory of Ben Affleck's Bat, we're going to look back on all the highs and lows of his run, and lament on the lost potential of what could have been. So you're a DCEU fan and you come across this channel. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Oh, look at all these Infinity War essays praising it and the wider MCU. Meanwhile, next week we got a negative take on Batfleck. Well, first of all, I want to make this as balanced as possible. I'm not here to make this feel smug or a victory for the MCU or anything like that. I want the DCEU to be just as successful, but right now it still isn't there yet, and Ben Affleck is one of the casualties of that. Of course, I have a certain take on where I stand with this franchise, and you might not agree, which is fine, but let's not get too tetchy over it in the comments, okay? I'd be more than happy to hear your thoughts. It all began August 2013, a few months hot off the heels of the divisive Man of Steel, and yes, even if you liked it, you have to agree it was divisive. Ben Affleck would play the title character in Batman v Superman, having been announced just a month prior as a direct sequel to Man of Steel. And whilst Affleck's casting was met with the usual amount of trepidation regarding new actors in the role of the Dark Knight, many, like myself, were intrigued and optimistic. Ben Affleck was simultaneously a strange out-of-the-box choice, but also obvious and seemingly the perfect person to play him. Plus, this all but confirmed that we would skip another origin story and get a weathered, world-weary take on the iconic Bat. Cut ahead to the 13th of May 2014, we were treated to our first look at Batfleck, and oh my god! This was perfect on so many levels. Finally, we've been given a Batman who was huge in size, with a grey cloth style batsuit that was less armoured and more ninja, shorter, more aggressive ears, and most of all, an impressive bat chin. Not to mention the Batmobile looked like the perfect cross between the Nolan Tumbler tank design and the sleeker, more sports car-esque designs of the 90s. This was already enough to turn the harshest naysayers into hype machines. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. We were going to get the best on-screen Batman ever. 11th of July 2015. It'd been almost 2 years of anticipation since the announcement that Ben Affleck would play the Bat. We'd gotten one small teaser, but during Comic-Con, fans all over the world were treated to a proper trailer to sink our teeth into. And it was awesome, showing that Superman would be held bang to rights for his actions in Man of Steel, drawing some genuinely interesting questions about the world he lives in and what his place is.
You don't owe this world a thing. You never did.
We were shown the scene of Bruce in Metropolis during the events of the first movie, tying it all together in a Back to the Future 2 style, and perfectly encapsulating everything we needed to know about why he wanted to take down Superman. We got all of that context in a 3-minute trailer. We'll come back to that. The second trailer arrived in December 2015, and it was...
It is a pleasure. Ow! Wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
Oh no. Oh no.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
Oh god, please no! This felt like the inverse of the excellent Comic-Con trailer. Mystery had been replaced by showing too much. Moodiness had been replaced by Willy Wonkering Lex Luthor antics. Only a small selection of people fully embraced this trailer.
There is no way this movie can be bad! Are you kidding me?
And then the film arrived in March 2016. Remember how we got all the context you needed to see Batman fight Superman in the trailer? Well, they do it all over again with a sequence set in Africa, a long drawn out subplot about bullet casings, and watching Bruce Wayne go on a wild goose chase for kryptonite for more than half the movie. Superman barely has anything to say, the second act has no thrust whatsoever, as we get subjected to dream sequences, time travel plots, and an introduction to Wonder Woman as distractions from the task at hand in the title of the movie. We see Batman's origin again, Doomsday and the death of Superman are adapted and totally wasted, Lex Luthor is one of the worst DC villains of all time. I could go on.
I agree.
All of the movie's biggest criticisms, like the fact that he kills, or the infamous Martha exchange, or the lack of scenes in place of awe-inspiring moments, have been covered head to toe, so I'm not going to do that here. All I will say is that despite being heartbroken by the plotting and execution of Batman v Superman, and I mean, I was fully heartbroken by this movie, I want to emphasise just how disappointed I was, especially after all those years of waiting. I still held hope that Ben Affleck could still do a lot with the role if given the chance. I don't have much to say on the extended cut other than that I also don't like it. It explains away some plot contrivances, but it doesn't make it any more enjoyable, and it takes a movie that already wasn't mercifully brisk by stretching it to 3 hours. If a movie was ever proof that plot holes aren't what make a movie bad, this is it. That same year we also got given what I think is low-key one of the biggest nails in the coffin for Batfleck, Jared Leto's The Joker. This has got to be one of the worst post-Oscar roles in history.
Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
It's a non-stop scenery-chewing, cringe-worthy, discount Heath Ledger mess. The choice to make the character a tattooed Instagram crime lord is such a misstep primarily because of how comic book inspired they went with their Batman. The two barely interact, if you can even call the scene they share interaction at that, and then of course we never saw them together again. I still can't imagine what it would have been like to see these two go at it, but I can't imagine it would have worked. I mean, just look at this guy. But hey, at least we still get Ben Affleck in the directing chair for a kick-ass Batman standalone movie, right? Right? Well, in the wake of Batman v Superman, the real tension over Batfleck began. Rumours began to swirl that Ben Affleck no longer wanted to direct it, new rumoured release dates were bandied about all over the internet. We got to see footage of Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, and Ben consistently had to reassure people that yes, the movie was indeed coming.
It's not that I'm in a hurry or not hurry. That's also on my plate right now is Batman. That's what I'm working on, trying to get the script right.
There's no movie, yet. There's not a movie, but there is the plan to make a Batman movie.
Please direct Batman the movie.
All right,
Please
we're
do
getting
it,
going.
Mr. Affleck,
We're going.
please.
This is maybe the most heartbreaking thing to come out of Batfleck, because you can tell that Ben not only wanted it to be just good, but really good. He wanted fans to be able to look at his Batman movie and compare it to The Dark Knight or Mask of the Phantasm or Batman 89. But of course, that never came to pass. On January 31st, 2017, Ben announced that he would not be directing the untitled Batman standalone movie. In an official statement he said, "Performing this role demands focus, passion, and the very best performance I can give. It has become clear that I cannot do both jobs to the level they require. Together with the studio, I've decided to find a partner and a director who will collaborate with me on this massive film. I am still in this, and we are making it, but we are currently looking for a director. I remain extremely committed to this project, and look forward to bringing this to life for fans around the world." This was hugely disappointing, and it felt like the turning point for Ben's time in the role. Despite saying that he was fully committed and indeed wanted to work with a director rather than being completely replaced, the writing was on the wall. And all this happened 10 months before Justice League was due to be unleashed upon the world, no doubt souring the hype and signalling to all of us that Ben's enthusiasm might just be ready to throw in the towel altogether. Let me be clear before I say something controversial. I like Ben Affleck in the role in Batman v Superman. It's a sucky rendition of Batman for all those other reasons, but Justice League is the worst Batman performance since George Clooney. Hell, it might even be straight up the worst Batman performance ever, period. In Batman v Superman, there's a quiet rage behind his eyes. He's weary but also hungry, strong, imposing, charming. I fully buy into the fact that he is committed to his cause. In Justice League, Ben just seems like he can't be bothered anymore. He also doesn't look like he worked out for this one half as much. His fight scenes are far less intricately choreographed, and half the time he just stands around looking like a dickhead whilst everyone else gets to be useful. Positioning him as the Nick Fury equivalent to bring the team together also feels odd.
But I don't know that I would have made him the guy who brings them together. He's the dude you gotta bring in last, because he's like, I don't need help.
Just because he doesn't have powers doesn't mean he can't be useful, but Justice League makes Batman into a full-blown joke. We got a good performance in a bad movie, and then we just got a bad performance in a bad movie. It just kept spiralling downhill. 2018 was pretty much a graveyard of Bat-related news, aside from even more rumours about an Affleck exit. It wasn't until just a few weeks prior to this essay that the truth was finally laid to rest. Matt Reeves' Batman picture will star a new Caped Crusader. Ben is out. We've had a funnier, more entertaining, more heartwarming, more empathetic Batman during this entire period of time in Will Arnett's Lego Batman, which is awesome, but also really just reinforcing what a shame Batfleck is. Now I want to point out before I go any further, Ben Affleck went through a divorce and was sent to rehab more than once for alcohol abuse during the years he was Batfleck. That would have undoubtedly factored into his work in some way, and I'm sure the critical reception to his directorial feature Live by Night could only have made matters worse. I don't think his personal life is reason to berate or champion his performance as Batman, but I think it's important to be aware that these films are always just one part of any actor or director's life. There's bigger things in their lives that deserve their attention. The same is true of Zack Snyder. Despite not liking his efforts in the DCEU, I don't think the unfortunate passing of his daughter, Autumn Snyder, is anything less than a tragedy. It's sad that he didn't get to finish his vision whether I liked it or not, but it is by extension of course far sadder that his family went through what they went through. Thinking more broadly about the DCEU, I don't blame Warner Brothers or Snyder for going in the direction they went in. Who or what do I blame? 2011's Green Lantern. A lot of people call Man of Steel DC's Iron Man, the gateway to an expansive new universe, but we're willfully forgetting that Green Lantern was meant to be that just 2 years prior. It was for all intents and purposes an MCU movie, DC's take on doing the big and bright superhero romp, and it just didn't come together. Audiences and critics hated it. If I was Warner Brothers, I'd look at that and go, we can't Marvel it guys, let's do something completely different. So I can see why they leaned into Man of Steel, which was already in production, rather than trying to make another film set in a Green Lantern universe. The truth is, we only just got DC's Iron Man. Aquaman is fun, full of heart, excellent world building and action to boot, plus it's bonkers as hell. I plan to talk more in depth about why I like it and why it deserves your time sometime this year, probably when it gets its home release. Aquaman proved that Justice League really could just be a bump in the road if we want it to be. Aside from literally one line referencing past events, Aquaman stands triumphantly on its own, proving that a Batfleck movie could and should have done the same. Despite audiences being attuned to shared universes and continuity in blockbusters more than ever before, I also think we're willing to forget it for good quality storytelling. Hell, did anyone outside of the hardcore crowd need to be told that Logan was essentially an Elseworlds story? No, because we've had almost 20 solid years of annual superhero movies. We can afford to throw out continuity if we have to. I'm not trying to put a downer on Matt Reeves' Batman movie, he's a talented guy, but I just can't help but feel a little exhausted by yet another hard Batman reboot. I really wish we could have just gone the Aquaman route, kept the character as he was and just focused on telling the next chapter in his storyline. It doesn't matter what came before if people like it or not, we like what's in the now, and despite what audiences would have you believe, they are always willing to forgive and forget. So here's to Batfleck. The road was bumpy, and you didn't get the Batman standalone I'm so sure you could have made not just good, but the best Batman standalone ever. Now you'll be remembered by me as the best Batman that never was. But I thank you for everything you did for the character, and I hope that maybe, just maybe, we might see you again someday. Full Fat Videos is going to strange new places. Full Fat Videos just got upgraded, and along with that, we're upgrading our Patreon with new tiers and rewards just for you. We don't unfortunately monetize most of the videos on the channel because it has copyrighted content, so something like Patreon could really help us make Full Fat Videos self-sustaining, and it'll allow us to make better videos and better content for you. For just $1 a month, you'd be helping us out a great deal already, which is why we thank you at the end of every video. Not to mention you'd get exclusive access to Full Fat Milk Posting, a Facebook group where you can talk to us about movies, TV and games, as well as some memes. We like a bit of memes.
For $3, you'll get access to everything from the previous tiers, but you'll also get the chance to watch our videos 1 day early, as well as get access to exclusive scripts and bloopers.
For just $5 a month, you'll get access to everything from all the other tiers, as well as exclusive access to ask the questions for our monthly Q&As.
And that's not all. For just $10, you'll get access to all of the above, as well as an exclusive commentary track picked by you.
For $100, I mean, you'd be keeping the lights on, so we'd really appreciate it, and we'd probably thank you at the end of every video on camera. You'd be really helping us in any way, shape or form if you could consider contributing to our Patreon. We love making this stuff for you guys and we'd love to keep making more of it. So thank you and thank you for watching. We're off to go make some more of that juicy content. We'll see you next time. Stay milky.